In a world where publishing companies try to pull a fast one on their consumers, and Brandon doesn't know the difference between the words infinity and infinite when referring to BioShock, this is Sick and Wired. Hey everybody, welcome to the Sick Critic Podcast. My name is Brandon Pirro, and I'm here with David.
Hi!
He's our PR guy, and I'm here with Donogh.
What's up?
He is our editor-in-chief, and this week we got a lot to talk about, but first, as always, what are we playing? What are you playing, David?
I have been playing... So as of the recording of this, which is Friday the 26th, Red Dead Redemption 2 dropped. So I have put about a professional level of 15 minutes into it so far, and...
Solid.
From what I've seen, the snow effects are fantastic. That is about what I can say about the game, because I don't know anything else.
Hey, there are very few things in a game that are more satisfying than really good snowy environments.
I was
physics.
impressed that...
Water.
You make a solid point. Water physics, definitely. I've seen very little water, so I cannot comment on that as of right now. But when I see it, I'll let you know.
Perfect.
Donogh, what about you?
I've been kind of jumping between Persona 5, a recent love of mine. I started that there recently enough. Absolutely adore it. But the Heist DLC for Spider-Man PS4, I've kind of been picking away at that. I absolutely steamrolled through the main game. Did all the side quests, collected all the backpacks really quickly. So I'm kind of taking my time with this one. I don't know what to think of it yet, but it's good so far. What have you been playing, Brandon?
Well, I definitely hopped on that Spider-Man DLC immediately and finished it the day it came out.
Oh my God.
I was so excited to play. I was so excited to play that DLC because I felt like there were a lot of things left unanswered in the original game, such as Silver Sable, Black Cat, Tombstone, and we get some answers in the next DLC. No spoilers, but I think it's pretty well known at this point that it focuses a lot on Black Cat, the heist, which, by the way, in case you don't know, is the first chapter of this kind of extended DLC, I guess you could call it. But
yeah, it's kind of series, isn't it? 3 parts.
Yeah, in a way. And so I kind of had the reverse thing that you did, so you're chipping away at the DLC. I kind of took my time with that main game, slowly made progress until I platinumed it. And then this one, I was so excited that I just steamrolled through it.
Have you finished? You finished the main story of it, have you?
Yeah, so I finished the main story, and not only that, but I kept seeing that I had 81% completion for my trophies, and I was really hell-bent on wanting to get all the trophies for this game, which is one of the few games that I've actually been really excited to do that. And I kept saying to myself, oh, it must be a glitch. I collected all of them. But then I realized, so not only were the DLC ones being accounted in that 81%, which I finally got out of the way, but also I didn't realize that there were 2 trophies for New Game Plus. There was one for completing a playthrough on New Game Plus, and for completing a playthrough on Ultimate, which is the highest level.
Yeah,
on New Game Plus.
That was just recently added, wasn't it? The Ultimate difficulty.
Yeah, I think so. And so I'm in the process. I said, well, let's kill 2 birds with one stone. And so I'm doing my best. I'm skipping all the side missions and everything because I didn't enjoy those nearly as much. So I'm just kind of trying to power my way through a full playthrough on New Game Plus on Ultimate. Which, honestly, Ultimate isn't that much of a step up when you're...
when you're as good as me, is what you're going to say.
Yeah, if you're as good as I am, it's not a big deal. When you're as godly at video games, no. But at these earlier parts that I'm at right now, it's a lot easier. Is when you start to get into the Sable stuff, it really gets kind of crazy.
Oh yeah, I got my behind absolutely handed to me. I completed my playthrough on spectacular. Yeah, spectacular, the hard mode. And my God, I saw Spider-Man die more times than I cared for. Oh, it's heartbreaking at first, but then you just kind of you get used to it, you know. It means nothing.
It means nothing. Your
Yeah,
death means nothing when you do it as many
pretty
times
much. Yeah,
as Donogh does.
pretty much. I mean, the comics don't care about him, so why should I? You know, but look, that's a discussion for another day.
Very true. All right, well, if we're done there, we can head right into some news. First of all, big deal for all PC gamers. Steam sales, the dates are released. We don't have any word on what games and what discounts, of course, just yet. But the first one's going to be on the 29th of this month, October, and it's going to go through November 1st. So that's a good precursor, and then November 21st through 27th and December 20th through January 3rd. That is the big one that everyone aims for
That's the big
with
fish.
their winter break and stuff like that. So, do you guys usually take advantage of these Steam sales?
Nope.
All right, next.
Sure.
The long answer, no.
I used to. I definitely used to when you know, I Steam was a lot more prevalent in my gaming life. It's kind of fallen to the wayside in recent years because I think for the most part I was just buying games that I like. They're games in my library I've never played. Like Max Payne 2 and 3, I have to finish Max Payne 1 first. So, yeah, I don't know, it's
Oh, so you have like, it's like equivalent to having like games still in
still in the
the
plastic.
shrink
Yeah.
wrap or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you always promise yourself that, look, I'll play this the next. You know, when I buy a gaming PC or when I have some free time, I'll play this. But odds are I am never going to play that. I think people fall into the same.
Well, I have similar problems. Like, and this is crazy. I always like to share this story because of just how weird it is. But there was a time I went onto Steam and swear to God, I went into my library or my my stuff, my inventory, and because it said I had something new, and there was just a coupon there. You know, you get those little coupons for games, and you're kind of like, they're usually indie games, and you're like, all right, I don't really care too much about that one. I don't think I'll pick that one up. But I got, for some reason, some voucher in there that gave me the entire BioShock series for
Oh
free.
my god.
Ooh,
And I was like, this is awesome. I really wanted to play the BioShock series. But then I got into the first one and I realized it wasn't quite the game I thought it was. I thought it was going to be a little more like
just
oh
watch
boy.
what you say now. Just
Tread
watch
I
your
know
words
carefully.
very
I guess
carefully.
I just expected it to be. I think the big thing is I thought it was more of an open world than it really was. It was kind of open world but confined more than I thought it was. I think I just didn't know enough about the game. I just heard it was really good.
Yeah,
And
that was the first one you're talking about. Is it Bioshock? Well, Bioshock.
yeah,
Right?
the first one. And then I'm in the same situation in the sense that I hear BioShock Infinity from a lot of people. I hear that's probably the best one.
Oh.
BioShock Infinity, I hear.
Oh.
I think Bioshock I think the original is a better game.
Thank you. I was
Yeah.
literally gonna come in and say that I think is the better of the two. But I have heard, and I've only put like a little bit of time into it because I bought like when they remastered all three of them. Um, I've only put a little bit of time into the DLC for which I can't even think of the name of it right off the top of my
Oh,
head.
Lost at Sea or
Uh,
Burial at Sea, is it?
Yeah, for the second one, it was it's supposed to be fantastic. And the little bit that I played, it seemed like it was a little bit more, like, I guess, actiony kind of right off the get go. And it was supposed to have, like, a really good story. And it's, like, co-written or whatever by one of the guys that wrote Gone Home. So, like, he actually worked on that. So, if you like Gone Home, you'll like that stuff as well.
Oh no, the first is just phenomenal game. It's just whatever about the gunplay. It's just the atmosphere. It's one of the better gaming worlds, I think.
The only thing that I will say with that, at least from a console like perspective, is I don't necessarily think the controls hold up all that well. I feel like there's certain button placements that are a little, it takes a little getting used to. And again, I can't think of any specifically off the top of my head, but I do remember playing it and kind of going like, oh crap, like I had to kind of like retrain my brain to play it, because I played it on that when they came out on the 360, and back then I was like, oh yeah, no problem, I can learn these games easily. And now I'm an old fart, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing anymore. So
Classic David.
Classic David. Yeah, I mean, I'm only like 43 years old in the body of a 28-year-old. But yeah, I mean, they're still great games. So
absolutely,
if you get the chance,
yeah, I would implore anyone. You can skip. Look, let's be honest. You can skip BioShock 2, play BioShock 1, and then play Infinite if you want. You don't actually have to.
I think Infinite's pretty good. I think it gets a bad.
It's not. It's not a bad game.
No.
It's not the first one.
I think the only reason why they gave it a little bit of a bad rap, at least a little bit, is one, they introduced a brand new mechanic that was not seen in any of the other ones, and two, because it's not in Rapture.
Yeah, well, I think that's what the big part is for me, is that it's not Rapture. If I recall correctly, I'm fairly sure it was fairly critically acclaimed when it came out, but I think in the ensuing years it just kind of fell off. I think once people got wind of the big thing with Infinite is the story in the world, and once people got wind of what the story was, I don't think the rest of the gameplay just kind of lived up to that, and I think it just kind of fell away. It got deemed overrated, and yeah, I think BioShock 1 got a bit of revival then when people kind of realized, there's a lot more moving parts to the machine in the original than there is in Infinite. Infinite relies a bit too heavily on its story, I think. But again, like I said, not a bad game. Play them all.
Yeah. If you want like probably the best story of probably any game within the last 2 generations, I would say play all 3 of them, because the story for that is absolutely phenomenal. So.
Well, anyway, so what I was getting to was, we get these backlogs with these.
I was gonna say,
yeah, we kind of
on to the next.
Welcome to the BioShock podcast.
Yeah.
But it creates these backlogs whenever you get like a surplus. Like I just get 3 games for free, and I haven't even completed the first. Now, regardless of what those reasons are, it just kind of goes to show like the whole backlog that you get whenever you have these Steam sales, or whenever you get good deals on games. Like I have the entire Fallout series on PC too, except for the 4th. I've got that on the Xbox, but I haven't. But I'm still yet to actually 100% finish a single Fallout game.
That's including the first 2, is it? The Black Isle games.
Yeah. I guess I just get so excited to. I'm just excited to go and move on to the next one. I don't know why. I just get really excited to do that.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. You take bits from every game. Like you jump in and out of separate games without, ever really kind of putting the time in to finish one. That's what I found, especially with my Steam library, and even kind of recently in the last year or two, with the introduction of the PS Plus games, or even the games with gold on Xbox, is that you're constantly jumping from one game to another, unless a game, like it's awful to say, but unless a game is really kind of special nowadays, I probably won't finish it, and it absolutely pains me to say it, but it's the way the gaming industry has gone.
Yeah, I have so many games
to keep up with.
So many games that I haven't
hot
finished,
takes,
especially on Steam. But anyway, so that's kind of the Steam sales. Make sure to check that out again. October 29th is the one coming up soon. Next, we've got the Rockstar. We've heard a lot about Rockstar in the past couple weeks because of Red Dead Redemption 2, but lately they've kind of gone into cleanup mode from a public relations perspective. Which David, you can weigh in on this
Attest
the
to this.
most, right?
Yeah.
But they've come out. So first it was they come out and they say they say 100-hour work weeks, and of course everyone blows up. Like, wait a second, like 50-hour work weeks is sometimes like, okay, now you're getting a little much, but
Yeah.
100-hour work weeks, and then they come out and they say, okay, well, we were just talking about a select few employees, like very very few. This wasn't everybody by any means, and so they encourage their employees to come out, and so now they start saying, you know, we don't feel abused for the most part. That was kind of the general census, but they did say they put in a lot of hours. And now, most recently, a few things have happened where, first of all, Rockstar has released I want to say it was a website. I can't keep track of everything in his head, but I think it was a website they made that basically praised all of the people who worked on the game, to kind of show they appreciate them. And then also, they updated their overtime policy, where it's definitely not mandatory, and they make that very clear, and they put some more consistency into the language of their policy there. But then, very recently, like very like past couple days now, we're getting into, they have uh, people have come and said that they had no idea, that they never got the feeling that they were that overtime was optional. They were working six up to 60-hour work weeks, 6 days a week, and they thought it was mandatory. And they swear by it that it was mandatory. They had to do it.
Yeah, a lot of the a lot of what I've seen with regards to that have has been kind of along the lines of, well, it wasn't written, it wasn't set in stone that it was mandatory, but there was the kind of, you know, sinking feeling in the background, the kind of overarching sense that, well, it's not written down that it's mandatory, but it's mandatory. Like, you would better stay. Like, it was presented as optional, but kind of taking the option of not doing it away in the sense. And also, just on the point there, about, you said they changed their overtime service, or terms of service. Am I the only one that thinks it's a bit rich that they changed it after Red Dead launched? Like, you're not in you don't release titles that often. You're not going to be in crunch at the moment. Like, you're not going to have to deal with the negative effects from, all this 100-hour work week news for 2 years maybe. When's la More than 2 years? Sure. When?
Oh yeah, I think it was
Yeah,
like
Grand
five
Theft Auto
years.
5. Yeah, was the last game they released. Now, it's thought that the next title will be a Bully sequel, but that's still in incredibly early stages.
Right.
So
Well,
yeah,
I
you're not.
that actually another thing I forgot to mention is there's just so much on this, but another thing is, it was reported by one of the employees that this quote crunch time that they uh, suffered, if you will, I don't know, but this crunch time that was going on for Red Dead Redemption 2 supposedly lasted for a year. Like like
That's a
August of
big
last year,
crunch.
or like September of last year, they went into quote like crunch time or crunch mode. And so they've been like so it's been a year of you know 6 days a week, 60-hour work weeks for a game that's been in development for 5 years. And so a lot of people are looking at that and they're kind of like, wait a second, you spent 5 years making this game and you still had to crunch for an entire year?
Yeah,
Like, there's got to be
that's
something not quite right there.
that's a bit rich. I think it almost nearly teeters on the brink of exploitation. Obviously,
I,
it's
I think it
obviously
totally
it's
does.
not in the workplace, but like, you'd wonder, Rockstar have uh, such a huge following and fan base, and loyal fans as well. Like they've constantly, put out hit after hit. Like Grand Theft Auto 5 is one of, if not the biggest selling piece of media in the world. Like it's still constantly in the top, in the charts for top sales every week. You'd wonder, like, take your time. The fans will wait. The shareholders will probably wait, considering like dividends are still coming in from Grand Theft Auto 5. Like,
When
take
you have as consistent of a record as Rockstar does, you really start to call into question: did we really need to work them this hard for a year
That's
to
exactly it.
produce a
Yeah,
quality title?
yeah, that's exactly it. Like, is this kind of crunch necessary? Now, on the flip side of that, you know, maybe like we all saw the blues Grand Theft Auto 5 had when GTA Online didn't release at launch. So maybe they've kind of taken that into account. I don't know if either you, no, either of you can attest this. Is Red Dead Online live at the moment? The game,
No.
it's
Oh no,
not.
no,
It's not
that's not
live yet. No.
coming till no later November, right? Is that
Well,
true?
if I'm thinking right, and and if you guys want to correct me, you guys can do it in the comments. I believe they're doing a beta to test things sometime this November, but it is not being released right away. Um, I mean, excuse me, and in all fairness, I mean, you don't really play these games for the multiplayer. Like, you play them for the single player. And the fact that it's got a 60-hour, if you're blowing through it, you can probably complete it in 50 from what I've heard. But it's a 60-hour campaign. I mean, I beat God of War, which, again, is another phenomenal game, very highly polished, everything, in less time than that. It took me 30 hours to beat Horizon Zero Dawn. So it's like, this is a huge campaign. And I don't even think that's including any of the side quests. So this is like huge, like Witcher 3 size game, another Grand Theft Auto 5 that is just a monster of a title. I'm personally okay with them waiting a month, 2 months, whatever, till they throw Red Dead Online out there. Like, that doesn't bother me at all. And to go kind of include that in with the crunch, take your time. We all know that the minute you drop that, you're going to have a flood of fans running in and turning on their consoles or their PCs to go and play online. But you've already got this other game that you can play. Like, take your time making it. We don't need you to work 60, 70, 80, or 100-hour work weeks. Like, that's absolutely ridiculous. I will forever be against crunch. I don't think it's ever needed. I think you can still create a highly polished game of Red Dead or Grand Theft Auto or even God of War or any of these other huge AAA titles still working a 40-hour or 50-hour work week. Like, I don't understand it. I think it gets to a point of, it's like these people, and I know we talked about this on last podcast too, these people have lives outside of work. Like, I know personally, even if I have a huge passion for the project, I don't want to spend 100 hours or whatever a week dedicated to this one thing, because then by the time, you don't really get that break. It's more like, oh, okay, well, I've worked, 13, 14, 15 hours this Sunday, and Monday's happening again. Like, I just gotta, it's a vicious cycle, and it's like, there's no need for it. I think you can work 40 hours a week, have your weekends off, and still turn out a game. It might take a little longer, but who the hell cares? Again, you're Rockstar. Everybody knows the polish of your games. They sell gangbusters every single time you drop them. You don't need to do anything. Your shareholders might be pissed, but they're worried about what they're worried more about the financial aspect of things than they are about the people behind the game.
The it's interesting how Rockstar should know this. Rockstar has had tons of experience with releasing huge titles, but yet they still do it. It's still a year of crunch, and then on top of that, you still have to worry about things like day one patch. Now they have to continue working on this online. This isn't like Red Dead Redemption 2 is not going away from a development standpoint anytime soon. In the same way that, from a development standpoint, Grand Theft Auto 5 online, I mean, that is super prevalent. They're releasing different DLC and extension packs and stuff like that to that pretty regularly. Just as much as a lot of online games, I feel like, that are of the same nature. And so, knowing that this is not going to Red Dead Redemption 2 is not going to stop at release, it makes you wonder, why would they? Now it's just piling on. It's just pile on. Oh, a little more here. Why not? It's madness.
Yeah, considering the fact that the game, well, obviously, they, as far as I'm aware, they tend to have separate teams for the multiplayer and the single player campaign. But the multiplayer is gonna constantly need maintenance. Like, how often was Grand Theft Auto 5? Grand Theft Auto 5 is still updated. Now, obviously, they'll wean some staff off, but who's to say that crunch, that crunch could still be going? Probably, considering they're prepping for a Red Dead Online launch, it probably still is going. Like, just because one aspect of the game has released, like, there's still a team there who are still probably suffering.
Oh yeah.
But they edited their overtime policy, so you got that.
Yeah, that's, I mean, okay, so, and again, I will reiterate the fact that I am 110% against crunch and all this. I think that because of the backlash that they experienced after, I think it was Dan Houser that came out and said something about the 100-hour work weeks, and the whole internet just exploded over this news. Then, like, all this PR stuff, like, part of me wants to believe that they seriously sat back and go, okay, like, we literally have to change something. Like, this cannot happen anymore. Why it took something like that to happen for them to cause this change, kind of beyond me. I feel like they should have realized that from the get-go, been like, oh, hey, it's kind of insensible to have, and I know insensible is not even a word, but just bear with me.
David's dictionary.
Editor alert. Editor alert.
I'm making up my own words as we go. But, like, being insensitive enough to not realize that ahead of time and just expecting people to go ahead and do that. The other half of me goes, you're probably doing this to squash any of the bad rep that you're starting to gain. Like, I've seen on Twitter people saying, I'm not going to buy this game because of that. Like, I'm not going to support them. And it's like, I don't know. It's, I do really, it's really hard for me not to want to believe that that's not even somewhat true. Like, oh, hey, like, we're getting really bad rep. Instead of having, our HR rule of nobody can talk about this outside of work, we'll let you guys all talk about it, but you gotta say good things. Like, you can't, like, what other stuff was behind the scenes that we didn't hear about? Like, oh, you can talk about it, but you gotta say good things. You can't let it, let it be known that you worked that hard a shift, and everything. And we're gonna, like, throw it out there that we're gonna update our overtime policy and everything. And like, I know another thing that came out about it was that people that were, like, contracted to work on the game and then left, or even, were there before and left before the game got released, their names were not going in the credits when the game ships. And there was a decent size uproar about that as well. And now they've come out and said, oh, no, like, we'll add, the people that did it, like, towards the end or whatever, saying, hey, maybe, like, another special thanks to this person who did this for, for the game and everything. And it's like, I seriously think that it's like, they're trying to hurry up and do all this so that they don't upset their shareholders, because if and they want the game to sell extremely well to keep the good rep and the good merit that they've built up over the last couple years. I mean, I hope that's not the case, but part of me still thinks it is, and I hope that for the next game and everything as well, like, that they think about everything that they've done now, that they've had to go through around this game. So, I mean, we'll see. If they decide that they're going to do this Bully 2 game, hopefully they sit back and go, hey, you know what? We'll do the 40 or 50 hour work weeks, but literally no more than that.
Hopefully.
Well, speaking of bad rap, I think we gotta keep this train moving. So, Black Ops 4 just released recently. That's been getting some bad rap because of what people have perceived to be downgraded servers. So their hardware to server send time or send rate has dropped from a frequency of 60 hertz in the beta to 20 hertz on the initial release, and then now back up to around 30 hertz with some day one patches, but still half of the send rate. I mean, it helps keep hardware from crashing, but at the same time, it lowers the quality of the overall experience because it's halved. It's the quality in a sense is halved,
Yeah.
So what do we think there?
Obviously, I was never part of the beta. Personally, I have not seen. I've been playing, a fairly decent amount of Black Ops 4, and I have not seen incredible performance issues. I have been kicked out of a handful of games of zombies, but apart from that, it's been plain sailing for me. I know David's been playing a lot of it as well, so maybe he's experienced something else. But personally, maybe if I'd played in the beta, I would have noticed the difference, but probably wouldn't, to be honest.
To be honest with you, I haven't noticed anything different. It does seem, I mean, besides my own personal issues that I've come across while playing the game, but I mean, it's just actual like gameplay mechanics, whatever. But I don't think I haven't really noticed anything being like slower or anything, unless it has something to do with the bullet registration, which it very well could.
Or you're just bad.
But yeah,
maybe you're just bad.
It could be that I am just absolutely god-awful at this game. Believe me, if only you heard me play it, you would probably be like, God, this kid sucks.
Kid. Well, definitely not talking about you. But kind of moving on from there, while we're talking about shooters, Battlefield 5. That, obviously the trailer came out, I think it was E3, mightn't have been. I could be wrong about that. Basically,
It's
a big selling point of Battlefield 5 was the Battle Royale mode. The mode. It's basically the zombies of 2017, 2018. It's being tacked on to absolutely everything. But it just came out during the week that Battlefield 5 will not be shipping with a Battle Royale mode. The Battle Royale mode itself will come separately. I think spring 2019, if I'm correct.
Spring 2019.
Yeah. So, how do you guys feel about that?
Oh my God, do I have stuff to say about this? So, one, they already had to get Battlefield 5 the heck out of Red Dead's way because they were originally going to put it like in between, or I think it was like after, or maybe it was before, I don't know, it was somewhere right around the Black Ops 4 and Red Dead Redemption 2 like release windows and everything, and I was literally sitting back going, if they don't delay this by somewhat, they're literally insane because this game's gonna sell like crap. And they delayed it till November, and I was like, oh, thank God, like they did something smart. They're getting out of the way of there, and putting it a decent number of weeks after Red Dead.
Yeah,
Like,
kind
get it
of
out of
waiting
there,
for the
give
dust
people,
to settle. Yeah.
yeah, like let the dust settle from that, and then release your game, and then that, and it's gonna be right around the time too. Probably a couple weeks later is Black Friday, where a lot of people are gonna go out, shopping for Christmas and whatnot. That's when they're gonna be able to go and pick this game up for people, so the sales numbers are gonna get jacked up for that as well. The fact that, and I already knew that they weren't gonna release their battle royale with the game initially. They had said that even back before they had changed the release date, and I'm like, okay, like go ahead, that way maybe by the time you do release it now in November, you'll have the battle royale ready.
I don't think anyone really realizes like how far back they were planning on putting this battle royale, considering it was, like you said, it was such a big part of, like, guess what we're bringing to it, battle royale, get excited, Battlefield fans. And now it's like, oh well, what the heck, I'm sure that's a big reason of why a lot of people wanted to buy it. Now it's kind of gone in a way.
Well, and not only that, but it's like, so Black Ops 4 just released, and their battle royale has been killing it. Like, it is really enjoyable to sit back and play. I have stopped playing other battle royale games like PUBG, like H1Z1, and like Fortnite. It's just a better experience for me. The fact that they're not even releasing with it, and it's coming way later, like probably 6 months later, just goes to tell me that they were trying to like hurry up and jump on the bandwagon and just announce like, hey, we're building hype for this game. One way to do that, you over there, let's do battle royale. I like this guy's ideas. We're gonna give him a raise.
An ideas man.
And now, yeah, and it's like, and now all of a sudden, now they're not, gonna release it with the game. And it's like, what are you guys thinking? Like, I understand it was probably really late in the development cycle for you guys to bring an idea like that into the, into the melting pot of everything, but then maybe throw that in as like something free later on, and then like, maybe not announce it and be like, oh, guess what, surprise, we have a battle royale game and it's coming out like next week, get your guns and stuff ready, and get ready to drop into our fire circle, hellhole, whatever you want to call it. I don't know. I think the way they've gone about talking about this game has just been all over the place, and I personally, like, I will pick it up, but I do not think that this game is going to sell well just because of the roller coaster ride that it's been on.
Well, I think this ties into our last news, and also the like last little bit of news that we were thinking about, which is Shadow of the Tomb Raider. It went on sale for $40 instead of its original $60 a month after it just released. And so they all three kind of tie in together with like, what's the deal with these companies releasing these games and people feeling like they're being cheated? Like Shadow of the Tomb Raider people who bought it the first month in there, or even pre-ordered it, like they're feeling cheated out of $20 because like they could have just waited a month. And these Battlefield 5 guys, now you've probably got a bunch of people who are huge Battlefield 5 fans, so they pre-ordered this, and now all of a sudden they're not getting one of the biggest components of this coming Battlefield game. You've got to, I would be pissed. I haven't pre-ordered it, and I don't know if I will. I'm not a Battlefield guy, or a Call of Duty guy for that matter, really. But I mean, if I'm them, I'm pissed.
Yeah, like with multiplayer games, you could go down the route of, we will reward, they obviously have some way of tracking it, so we'll reward our day one players, the price dropped, and we'll give you double XP or something like that. But with the single player game, like how do you reward the people who helped you from day one, the fans, the diehard fans of the series who picked it up at midnight the day it released? Like, you can't really. I don't think there's any way that they, like, how would you release I don't think there's any way that they could release some extra story content, say, but exclusively free for people who played the game within the first 30 days.
I
Five
don't
No,
see
they
dollars.
I don't
won't.
see how they could go back at any at by, from its release time. Like once that game releases, I don't think there's any way to differentiate and be able to go back and say, oh, this person pre-ordered it, or
Yeah,
this person bought it within this window. So there's really it because they usually do that with some sort of that's how companies do that with their deluxe editions and stuff like that, or their ultimate editions of things. So it's almost like a different copy of the game altogether with these couple of things added
yeah,
in,
yeah, yeah,
or it's a pre-order thing where it's like kind of assigned to a pre-order code that you have, and so it's a code. But if they're not giving out these codes like that, and it would be, I think it would be virtually impossible to go back and say like, okay, which of these million codes are or like 5 million codes or 8 million codes, like what Call of Duty's Black Ops 4 sold recently. I mean that's a lot of codes to be like, okay, which ones were pre-orders again?
yeah. To be honest, I wouldn't be surprised. Like the devs, the devs and the publishers should not shouldn't be surprised that they're going to lose a lot of fans, a lot of diehard fans who probably, you know, kind of got together, like pushed the sales up for either. I can't remember was the first one Rise of the Tomb Raider. One of them was Rise of the Tomb Raider anyway. But like those early games, obviously had enough of a following that sequels are made. I would not be at all surprised if this was the last we saw of Lara Croft for a few years.
Well, and I don't necessarily think that it'll be the last that we see of her. I mean, they might take like a small break just because I mean, it hasn't been all that long, I don't think, since they released Rise of the Tomb Raider, and I think even before that was the definitive edition or whatever. Um, but the reason why these games, and especially this with it going on sale, is because there's just so much that is coming out anymore. Like we were literally just talking about this when we were talking about the Steam sales. Like there's so many games that are coming out, and I understand like Shadow of the Tomb Raider probably has its own particular audience that isn't all that big of a fan of like the shooter type games or whatever. So Call of Duty and Battlefield just aren't there for them. They want to play this, so that's gonna be fine. But it's like when you release that, even within probably the same year as any of these other games, well, some people are like, okay, well, I can only afford, maybe like one or two games this year. Like they're not super fortunate being able to buy all these new games, so they have to kind of pick and choose which ones they want. While the devs and the publisher of this game are like, oh crap, like we still have to try to make some money on this. How can we do that? Oh, let's put it on sale. I know it's real soon, but let's put it on sale. That's going to automatically encourage people to then go ahead and spend some money on the game, you know?
Yeah. Now to be fair, like we have seen it in the past, some games have been revitalized, from going on sale. Like look at, prime example is Rocket League. Now Rocket League didn't go on sale. Rocket League was a PS Plus, yeah, a PS Plus game. Um, but that like NoClip did a documentary on it. The fact that that went to PS Plus, that brought the game to a whole new market. And yes, they may have lost 30 days worth of purchases, but I think like gamers, I hate to use the term gamers, but people who play games listen to each other. That's what the whole games journalism industry is based off of, is that people will listen to your opinion and either take it into account or they won't, like as with everything. But word of mouth, word spreads quickly. So maybe this could be special for the Shadow of the Tomb Raider, or maybe it might just kind of, like I said earlier, might just signal the end of this series. But look, we don't know. Time will tell. Time will tell. Kind of moving on from there, then. For our main topic, just a quick note as an editor for the site, I hate subtitles. So I really hate the fact that I just said, "Oh, for our main topic." But anyway, Fallout 76. That's in the news this week. Well, we're finished the news, but Fallout 76 is kind of what we want to talk about. If you don't know, and not a closed beta was held there about 2 or 3 nights ago, I think, for Xbox One users exclusively. It was 4 hours long, and it kind of gave a select few, and I suppose to the internet as well through association and through YouTube videos or whatever. It gave people a taste of what this game is about. I don't know if you guys have seen anything on it, or how are you going to pick it up?
Well,
I'll let you go. Go ahead.
so I've already I've already got to what's the word? Preload it. I'm preloading it on my computer like right now as we speak. So I've got it. I'm definitely gonna play it. But we actually, we released a we released a video on our YouTube channel, Sick Critic. Go visit it. Shameless plug.
If you're
whatever.
If you're listening to the podcast on YouTube, you're actually here right now. So welcome.
Yeah.
So
do you want to drink? Here? Go watch this video
after the podcast.
Yeah, after the podcast.
Fish listening to us first.
But we have a video on there with 37 minutes or something like that of just Fallout gameplay. Our YouTube genius Andrew, he was super nice to record that for us and put that up. So definitely check that out. I haven't gotten the pleasure of. I've had a crazy week, but it's definitely worth checking out from what I hear, and I'm excited to play it. But what do you guys think, like, now that we're getting so close to this beta that's coming up on the 30th, for anybody that pre-ordered the game regardless of console or PC, what do you guys think is like some of the big things like this will make it a success?
I personally think that what will make it successful is if there is a ton of stuff to do in it. As of right now, just even personally for me, like, this is a fear of my own. From what I've seen of it, it just, like, it's a big open world. Like, they said it's like, 4 times bigger than Fallout 4 or whatever. Like,
which is insane.
Yeah, it's huge. Like, Fallout 4, like, I looked at that map and I was like, there's no way in hell I'm gonna be able to even, go half of this map. Like, it's massive. And to then take that map and expand it by 4 times, like, and they've already said, like, there's not going to be, like, there might be a couple dozen of people or whatever on the server. And I know I cannot talk tonight because saying a couple of a dozen is the worst thing to say.
Editor check.
Donna's over there, like, his eyes twitching as I'm talking, like, oh, Jesus, God, help me. But, like, they already said that, like, there's probably going to be, like, 30 people on the server that you're going to occupy. The rest of it's going to be PvE. And I just don't want it to be, like, have this huge open world and have it just feel empty. Like, I want objectives to do. I want a little bit of a storyline. I don't want to just be like, oh, here's an enemy, shoot, 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 gather some ammo. Oh, here's another enemy, shoot, shoot, shoot. Like, I want some actual stuff to do. And I don't need a bunch of fetch questy stuff, but I just want there to be enough content there that's going to justify me spending $60 on this, or $80 for a deluxe edition, or $100 for the ultimate edition, or whatever. Like, I want there just to be a reason why I'm spending this money.
And that kind of goes back to the whole, Bethesda on Twitter released a letter basically to anyone who's getting the game, but specifically I think this is directed towards people who are going to be participating in the beta, and they say So this is straight quote from the letter. It says, with Fallout 76, you are left wondering, what exactly is this? And the answer to this question, more than any game we've made, is that's up to you. And that's scaring a lot of people because they're like, what do you mean it's up to me? Like, you guys have specialized in these, like, really really long and kind of long stories and these detailed worlds and stuff like that. What are you saying? Like, is that going away? Like, what's happening? You know, some people are kind of like in panic mode after this. Like, is this damage control before the damage happens? Like, what is going on?
Yeah, I mean, and to be honest with you, I mean, I think they have a slight reason to be not scared or, or anything, but slightly concerned. I mean, let's look at the fact here. Name a game that Bethesda's made that people have been like, wow, that's garbage. Like, I've never
Rage,
played
PS3,
a worse...
Rage.
Okay, but it was obviously good enough for them to come out with a Rage 2.
Yeah, well, that is fair, yeah.
Which, if I can chime in, Rage 2, I played it at E3, and it's actually good. It's actually pretty good, so...
And I mean, just watching the trailers, like, I'm thoroughly curious about that game as well. And I never even played the first Rage, but seeing the second one, I was like, I can be a badass for once in my life. So I'm going to check out this game. But it's like, yeah, like, name a game that Bethesda's released that we all sat back and literally was just like, I don't know why they made this. I don't know who on the executive team said that this was okay. They should be fired and then fired again. Just for bringing
out of
the
a
idea.
cannon, fired out of a cannon. That's the only appropriate. It's the only appropriate.
But it's
like, they have a very similar situation to Rockstar that we were talking about, where it's like these guys pretty much consistently release some of the top games of the generation,
exactly.
and so really, it's. I think the big thing though is it's just this is brand new territory for them. Now it's not brand new territory, period. By any means. We have, like, multiplayer is by no means a new thing or anything, but for Bethesda, they haven't personally experimented with it as much and found, because regardless of what people say about, like, oh, it's just multiplayer, like, that's not a new thing, blah, blah, blah. It's a big thing when you take a step into multiplayer like that, when you've almost exclusively done single player, and it's especially scary when they released Elder Scrolls Online, which for the most part has been universally despised. I feel like I don't feel like I've heard anyone say, like, oh yeah, that Elder Scrolls Online, that is my jam right there.
My jam.
So
I will not comment on this because I played ESO and I don't know. I prefer playing like Oblivion, Skyrim, stuff like that. When they brought it out and they were like, oh, it's an MMO, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna love this game. And then I went and played it and I was like, I swung a heavy sword at a crab that was no bigger than my fist for like a half hour before he finally just gave in and died. Like, I don't know. That was my own personal experience. I know they've released a ton of updates since then, and I'm sure they've fixed their problem. But for me, it was just like, I don't know. I just didn't enjoy it. It just wasn't for me. So I'm hoping that they maybe fixed some stuff with Fallout. Maybe not. Who knows?
Well, the thing is with this is that, like I was going to mention before Brandon said it about about ESO, that was kind of their first foray into it. Into, in terms of an MMO style game. But Fallout 76 is actually developed by Bethesda Game Studios. ESO is developed by ZeniMax Online, I think. Bethesda Game Studios, are the kind of the award-winning team, essentially. They're the Fallout 3, the Fallout 4, the, Elder Scrolls 5. So, to see them, I imagine they would have had some guidance, because obviously they're both published by Bethesda Softworks, so they must have had some guidance coming across from ZeniMax. But like we've seen what that team can do with an open world, a single player experience. Now it's just translating that. That's the biggest issue.
I think the important part of this one actually being Bethesda's development studio this time is just like any company, Bethesda is not only an organization, it's a brand. And I think the key thing that Elder Scrolls Online didn't do was with the gaming industry, your product can't just be like all these other products. It has to fit your brand. It has to fit what your company is, the type of content that you create. And I think that's going to be infinitely times easier, if you will, when your company is the one developing it. So it's going to reflect Bethesda 100%. And pretty much most games that we've seen that like we were saying that Bethesda has 100% released themselves, we felt it's represented them in a very positive light.
Yeah, like their two, not biggest flops, but definitely most panned games of the last 15 years were Wet and Brink, and neither published by Bethesda Game Studios. So the team is something special. Like, we know that. They have all the, like, I don't know. My biggest worry about it is they've said, the goal of whatever the goal is to, basically what happens is a nuke gets dropped somewhere towards the end of the game content. Now, obviously, areas change. Once the nuke is dropped, wherever you choose to drop it or whatever, that area will change. But they've also said that, like, that area, the area that's been nuked, after, like, it will return to normal after a while. Be there some story point to that or not, I don't know. But what do you do after that? What, like, that's where they're in the end game there. I think that's where they really need to be strong. They really need to have a backlog of content or interesting side quests, or, like, do you just go straight to PvP after that? Do they, incorporate some kind of deathmatch? Like, where do you go from there?
Well, that's why I was saying earlier, like, they need to make sure that the content is there. Like, you can have it, do PvE for the most part, and then kind of have a rare occurrence be where you're actually going up against another player character. And dropping the nukes is fine. Like, they said they said because it's going to take a while for you to get the 3 or 4 key codes or whatever to drop a nuke. That area that you drop the nuke in is actually going to be, like, higher level territory. You're not going to be able to, like, you're not going to want to be trying to go in there, right in the beginning of the game. Like, you're going to want to spend some time leveling up, spend some time getting some higher level gear, and yeah, just making sure that you're strong enough that if you get the keys for the nuke or somebody drops a nuke somewhere, that you're not going to just get wiped off the face of the earth when you go in there.
Yeah. So,
but yeah, it's just they just have to have the content.
Yeah, and they have to keep it regularly updated. Yeah. But I think the last thing we can. Sorry, Jones.
So along the lines of what David said with keep the content, I think keep your identity too.
Yeah.
Keep what makes Bethesda games, because that's what people are coming for. They're looking for a multiplayer experience within Bethesda.
Yeah, I think that is going to be one of the biggest issues. All we can finish on there is, Brandon, you've already said you have it preloaded. David, are you going to buy it?
I probably will. I'll be curious to see what my take is on it after they do an open beta. Because I want to get in there and see if there is enough that I'll buy it right away, or if it's just something I'm like, yeah, I can hold off and wait until, maybe the price drops or something, or when I've got more time. Like I said, as it sits right now, I'm still playing Black Ops 4. I'm still playing Rocket League. I have Pillars of Eternity 2 Deadfire to continue playing, which is a monstrous game. I just got Red Dead, Redemption 2 today. That's a massive game. I just started up Skyrim again. It's like I have a plethora of games that I can play in the meantime.
Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna buy it. Definitely not this side of the new year. And as a massive Fallout fan, it absolutely breaks my heart. But it's not for me. But about that, I think we should wrap it up.
I'm gonna let
there,
you guys
folks.
officially wrap it up. I've got to get going 5 minutes early, real quick, but which is highly unorthodox, and I hope Devin doesn't kill me. But we'll see.
It's okay. You're
pay
fired.
Potential
He told me to
attention.
fire you.
Oh, thank God. All right. Well, I'll see you guys later.
See you, Brandon. Well, on that note, I think we should wrap this up.
Yeah, I agree. I believe, I think we said everything that we needed to say on those.
I mean,
Yeah,
obviously, we could say more, but we're not going to do that. We don't want to bore
let's just
you.
talk smack about Brandon now that he's not here.
Oh no, we can do that when he's here.
In a world where David and Donogh didn't realize that Brandon would be editing this very podcast, and he could hear everything they were saying, this has been Sick and Wired.
Yeah, but on that note,
Well, I was gonna say, usually the way we end these things, is there anything that you wanna pimp out? Advertise anything? Maybe a Twitter handle somewhere.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Donogh. Now that's going to be a tough one to spell. So it's DONOGH. Yeah, look, I don't really use it, to be honest, that often. Look, if you have to do anything, keep an eye on the site. We've a lot of good writers, a lot of interesting content, and yeah.
Well, we'll be having a lot of interesting content. We just, like we said earlier, we've got the Fallout 76 gameplay from the closed beta that Andrew did. So kudos to him.
We have a Black Ops 4 review that has just gone live, I think.
I believe so.
Yeah. So yeah, you'll be entertained. And if you're not entertained, let us know.
And you guys can always find me at David Fraley 27, DAVID FRALEY 27 on Twitter and a lot of other things. That's where I'm active the most. And yeah, again, definitely go to the site. We got a lot of talented guys and girls, or girl, that do some stuff on there. So definitely check that out. Leave some comments on the site. Go to our YouTube channel. Really trying to get that up and running. We've definitely seen a rise in the subscribers, so definitely go there, watch some stuff, like it. If you like what you see from there, hit the little bell, which allows you to subscribe and get notified when we release another video. So, and I think with that, we are good. So,
good night.
Let's end this. Good night, everybody. Good night and farewell. Bye.